Hello, it's Justin Woodall, your trusted Athens real estate advisor. In the last video, if you remember, we talked about appraisals and how they work and what the purpose of them, what the purpose of an appraisal is. And basically, it's simply to justify the value that the buyer and seller have agreed to justify that price to the bank. That's the appraiser's job. So what happens then if you're a home buyer buying a property or you're a home seller selling a property and the appraiser comes back and says it's not worth the price that you have agreed upon? What happens in that situation? Sometimes you want to validate the appraisal, make sure the appraiser did a good job on it. I've seen most of them do, especially our local appraisers. We love it when local appraisers do work for us, but sometimes they come from out of town. They just don't know the market, or they pull bad comps, or sometimes they just do a bad job. So we want to look at the appraisal first to make sure that a good job was done on it, that good comparables were used and good adjustments were used. So after looking at it, and if we really do determine that it is a legitimate appraisal and it really is low and we got to deal with it, how do we deal with it? Well, as long as the buyer, so if you're a home buyer, as long as you're still in your appraisal contingency, you have three options. You can go back to the seller and ask them to adjust the price down to the appraised value. If they agree to that, we do an amendment, adjust the price, and you just bought the house for less than you initially thought you were going to, but you're buying it at the appraised price. Number two option is you can terminate the contract if the seller refuses to lower it to the appraised price. And option number three is you can bring additional cash to closing and still purchase that house. But the lender is only going to loan based on the appraised value or the purchase price, whichever is less. So say you're under contract for $210,000, the appraisal comes back at $205. Then you're going to be putting down your down payment. So if you're putting 10% down, you're putting down roughly a little over $20,000. But on top of that down payment, you would also be bringing an additional $5,000 to bridge that gap between $205 and $210, because your loan is going to be based off of $205. So that's how that works if you're a buyer. And same thing if you're a seller. If your buyer is still in their appraisal contingency, as a seller, you have the option. You can reduce it down to the appraised price. You can say, nope, I'm holding firm. If you do hold firm, the buyer has the option to walk away, or the buyer may have the option, if they've got the means and have the funds and they really want your house, they could pay extra. And sometimes we end up meeting in the middle between the appraised value and the original purchase price. So it's all up in the air, it's all up for negotiation. So we try to work with local appraisers and good appraisers and good lenders, and most of the time we don't have problems with appraisals, but if we do, we know how to work through them, and we do get through them most of the time. So just wanted to share with you kind of what things look like with appraisals. And if I can do anything for you, friend, family member, coworker, let me know.